Our energy dictates the way we show up in situations. It dictates the way we communicate with other people. Today, we're going to be talking about your energy. How do you get to the top of your game when you're not feeling the best? Stay tuned. You're going to definitely want to hear this one. Our energy is dictated by, it's dictated by our brain, our body, everything that goes into this. And so today I'm excited to talk about your energy, how you get that energy level up, especially if you're not feeling at your best. We're going to be talking to one of our authors in the Mind Body Connection book, Nasirra Ahamed. Nasirra, welcome to the stage. So excited to have you talking about energy. This is something that I think is really important, especially right now, because things that are going on in the world. It's kind of tough to know how to bring ourselves out of the energy that we're feeling and into a different state of mind. Wouldn't you think?
I agree. First of all, Linda, thank you for having me here today. It's an honor to be here today. Yes, you're right. There's a lot going on around us, and let's face it, it's not going to stop. There's always going to be something happening around us, right? So, what I would really recommend is that you really start working with yourself. And when you anchor yourself, and when you're really very deeply rooted in your authenticity, and when you really ground yourself and you don't allow the exterior to affect you, I think that is how you actually can get control of your own energy. Everything's going to be happening around you. That's not going to stop. But
Yeah.
when you work on yourself from the inside, okay, it's not the environment that's affecting you, but it is about you and what you give out, and that is how you create your reality. And there's a lot of deep work that goes into it. And yeah, that's what I would recommend.
Awesome. I love that. You mentioned that word authenticity. This is a word that I think is getting a bad rap nowadays. People are saying it's being overused, people are using it the wrong way and what have you. And so why don't you share with us, like, what does authenticity mean to you? But before you do that, why don't you, just do a quick introduction of who you are and what you do?
Okay, so I am Nasira, and I'm a purpose prana. I have my baby. It's called the Energy Architect. Energy Architect was born about 3 years back when I was really looking for, my voice, what I really mean, who I am, and who I wanted to express myself as. And it's really funny that the energy architect actually came up as an assignment. I really listened to myself and I allowed it to flow. And I realized that that was the first time I actually allowed it to flow. Because for 22 years, I was in a corporate job, and I had a great time, no doubt. But I realized that it was not something that I'd planned for myself. And I went ahead with it because everybody just said that, it was just ticking off everything that said that you are successful. You have everything, the designation, the paycheck, the security of getting your paycheck every day. And I kind of dragged myself through that entire time, um, convincing myself that this is what I'm supposed to do because I'm fairly successful. And it's like suicide. If I mean, who wants to let go of that security? People take very long to find it, and then when I have it, it's not really resonating with me. So I forced myself to do this every single day, to the point that I was dreading getting up in the morning and going to work. And And then finally I just decided, like, okay, enough is enough, and I'm going to listen to myself. And that's when I went into this crazy study frenzy, and energy architect actually came up as an assignment. And I something just, just lit up. It just clicked. I was like, yes, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what I'm supposed to do. you know I am a purpose prana. This is what is really calling out to me right now. And I have been in the energy work, but I never gave it the importance or the focus that it deserved, because that was just getting louder and louder for me, and I kept ignoring it. But the day I started listening to it was when everything really changed for me. I started feeling better. I started looking forward to getting up and, working towards this. And the fact is that I did not know where I was headed because I did not have a picture really. Okay. But I kind of listened to myself. And what Energy Architect has become now after 2 years is something that I'm really proud of. So what I do is I'm a certified coach, and I'm also a trained business leader, as in like that's what my 22 years of existence has been. And what I do is I integrate coaching, my experience, and energy work, and I try to create conscious leaders. I want
Mm.
people to listen to that voice inside of them and guide them and feel the happiness, not because everybody else is telling them to do that, but because it's coming from inside. And when it comes from inside, like you said earlier, it just all the external factors don't matter. It's like it's an expression, and it just comes so authentically. And
Mm.
when you find that, it's like a flow. It's like a beautiful dance.
Yeah, what I love about this is what's coming to mind is, the corporate world, and you're working with leaders, and I'm curious, how many of the people that you work with end up leaving the corporate world because they realize that that is not the place for them, because that's tapping into that pure authenticity, right? It's like, okay, I really don't enjoy this. I'm doing this because others told me I need to go this route. This is what success looks like for other people, but I don't feel that this is for me. So how do you work with people, and what would you say is a percentage of people, or do people leave their corporate job after working with you? I'm curious.
Um, I would say that maybe only 15% actually leave their roles as leaders. What really comes forth, after conversations with me as a coach, is that it's inside of them, and they're not doing this because, these are company targets. They're not doing this because people outside are telling them that that is how it's supposed to be, or because they're reporting to the board. But it's coming from a space of purpose, and a
Mm,
soul purpose. And when they really see this within themselves, the way they express themselves, even with people whom they work with, everything changes because it becomes just so much more meaningful. So it's not a either or. It's never you have to be either in corporate or you have to be connected, to your soul's purpose. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But it's more about being connected with that, because that is what should lead you. And giving up a corporate job is not the solution for everyone. But to really take that, and finding that meaning in their lives and their purpose, what is their purpose as a leader? When that trickles down from the
mm.
top, you can only imagine how people who work with them feel with them.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I just kind of flashing back to, my corporate jobs, over the years, and how when I left the corporate world, like, there was no feeling. I had never experienced this kind of feeling before, this feeling of like being driven to do something different. It's like I never really understood, like what you're saying there. I might have been able to find my purpose in the corporate world had I understood who I was. and what was driving me, what was my purpose. And actually looking back, there are several of the jobs that I had 49 jobs in 36 years. So I had several jobs, that many of them I could have found that purpose in them as I'm listening to you speak, which is kind of fascinating. I never thought I would admit something like that before, because I love being an entrepreneur. I absolutely love what I do. And so it's been a fascinating journey. We're talking to one of the authors of The Mind Body Connection. And this is an incredible book, how we tap into the mind and body and we connect it together, and it helps to drive us forward. And you can get a copy of the book plus a lot of free gifts over at our website at actiontakerspublishing.com/connection. Go get your copy over there. And Nasirra's chapter, it's titled The Energy Architect, Rooted in Authenticity and Soul's Wisdom, which we've been talking about a little bit here. And also I want you to connect with Nasirra at linktree./Nasirra.R.Ahamed. And that's linktree, linktr.ee/NASIRRA.R.AHAMED. Go connect with her over there. And so Nasirra, how did you get, you mentioned the story, like how you got into, the energy architect and how that was created. And, why don't you share with us, like, how has that been making that shift? Once you came to that realization that this is something that you wanted to do, you're in corporate 22 years, how did you make that shift? Because there's a lot of people that are sitting on that fence there and they're saying, I want out, but I'm not really sure what to do. I don't know what steps to take. How did you make that decision?
Yeah, I was terrified. I really was terrified because I've been financially independent for as long as I can remember, and the thought of giving that up and getting into something that I wasn't sure exactly what it was, but just listening to that was very scary for me.
Yeah.
But sometimes um, life happens for you, not just to you. Um, and the biggest, um, the best thing I could have done for myself was really walking in the direction of my fear, and trusting the universe that I'm going to listen to myself, because I think for a very long time I've done only what other people wanted or other people's standards of success. The identity of who I am was associated, or even the value I am as a person, as Nasira, okay, was connected to my designation. Who is I? I had no idea. And I had to trust the process. And I have to say that it's been very scary for me. It was, and very frustrating. I've had, I've many times wanted to just give up and go back to corporate, thinking maybe it's not too late, maybe I can still go back. But I allowed myself to fall. I surrendered completely. And I said, okay, whatever happens, happens, but I'm going to walk in that direction. And in that process, what happened was I thought I was going to completely reinvent myself.
Mm-hmm.
But after a year of doing that, I realized that why am I trying to, dismiss the 22 years of who I am? you know that's a large part of me. And that is when actually integration actually, occurred to me that I have to respect who I am today also. And I'm not going to let it go, but I'm going to use that, which is a large part of me, and really integrate that with my authenticity, and listen to that and give it a chance. And the path was not clear for me, but I just took one step every single day. And it's true, the path reveals itself, but it's only when you start taking those steps, like one step at a time. And the picture is slowly getting to coming together now for me. And
Mm-hmm.
I've come a long way in that sense.
That's you're totally speaking my language because when I left the corporate world, I was like, I wanted to leave all of that behind and reinvent myself from the beginning. And then it was a couple years into it, because it's been 9 years for me now. It was probably like 3 or 4 years into it that I realized that all those skills that I had from that, I was pulling them into my business. And then I needed to recognize that I had those skills. And then that's what is going to lead to my success, is by incorporating those skills, not starting from scratch from the very, very bottom. It's not like I'm a phoenix rising, because I have all that other stuff that I get to bring into my business. And that, like, those organizational skills that I had that I was dismissing, those organizational skills are what makes it so that we can do what we do in this business,
Yeah.
publishing. So it's been incredible. I love how it's like the same kind of thing, right? Like we want to just get rid of that, and it's not us, it's not part of us anymore. But then we realize that it's a huge part of who we are. Like your leadership skills, those are tremendous skills in order to bring to the table to your clients, so that they can learn to tap into that as well. And then bringing the authenticity along with the leadership is a tremendous benefit for them, right?
Absolutely. The one thing I did realize was that when I speak to leaders, when they relate, when they relate their stories, I'm like, oh my God, I completely understand. And I wished I had somebody that I could speak to, somebody who could mentor me, to have realized and recognized all of those feelings at that time. The way I am able to process my emotions and uh, put them to use in how I bring myself to the world and who I am, um, is completely different from what I was doing earlier. But now, when I'm in touch with leaders and when I coach them, I'm like, I know exactly what they're going through, and it's like I can relate to it, and that's where it's really helped me.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because when we can relate to other people, it helps us to be able to, for them to trust us more as well. Because, like, if somebody's gone through something, or they're going through something we've gone through and we've come out of it on the other side, it helps them to be able to trust that we're the one that can help them through that. Now, Nasirra, this book, Mind Body Connection, it's an incredible book. You can get your copy at actiontakerspublishing.com/connection. And Nasira, why don't you tell everybody, like, what would you like the readers, to take away from reading this book, or reading your chapter?
Okay. Um, I would really urge people to walk in the direction of their authenticity, because you know the highest frequency everybody believe is love. Okay, but according to me, the highest frequency is actually authenticity. And when you listen to yourself and you trust yourself and your soul, and what it's telling you to do every day, the reality that you create for yourself is quite different. It's not what other people are telling you to do, but what you know from the inside that's actually coming forward. And when you live that, that is when you actually find that happiness, the contentment, and then it's like an expression of who you really are. And that's like extremely liberating, and it's very, very powerful. And when you look at what you really want to do in life, and you see what you are actually practicing yourself, I urge them to be a little conscious and aware of what they're doing and what their soul is telling them to do. What they really want to do. Because then you're not looking for that external validation, but it's coming from a place that's so true to you, and that's a beautiful expression of who you are as an individual, and that is what really creates you, and that's what makes you completely solid. And manifestation actually happens through that, when you listen to that, through your through your rooting, and listening to your soul, and what it's telling you to do. Muted.
You mentioned that the highest energy is love, but then like they say that, but then you believe that it's authenticity. It's interesting because as you said that, I was thinking about how when we step into our authenticity, it really is our ultimate gift of love to ourselves. And so they kind of going hand in hand a little bit, but it really is because once I started to discover who I am, that's when I was showing up as who I am. And that really is the ultimate gift that we can give to ourselves, and that is us loving ourselves. So I love that. Thank you so much, Nasirra, for being part of this book, sharing your message of the authenticity of energy, and thank you for doing what you do. It's absolutely incredible. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was a pleasure. Talk.
At the beginning of 2023, I had a great burning desire to get my work and my writing out into the world. I wanted to build a consistent writing practice, and I was struggling with how to get started. And it was with the perfect timing that I was invited by a friend of mine to participate in my very first collaboration book. And I now have 3 collaboration books under my belt, 2024, with Action Takers Publishing. So it's really changed my life and my world and just how I write about my experiences and stories. And if you're looking to get started and you just really don't know how, this is such a supportive place for that.